It is indeed Saturday morning, whereupon we derp and stuff. Good morning, my friends. I'm mostly awake here today. Let us see. Just putting my head together. Yep, Saturday morning cartoons. Here we go. Gail, Ronnie, Lauren Chu, Epsy. Did I say Ronnie? I said Ronnie. Caddy Wampus. Gail, hey. Good morning, my friends. Good freaking morning. Let me bring up some live gameplay. There we go. And my mic is on, and we are ready to go. Hey, live and direct. Caddy is looking pretty shiny here today. We call her Legendary Caddy. There she goes. The full legendary woman working on her legendary staff. It's a whole other level. What can I tell you? Not sure what else to tell you. Caddy Nova. There we go. That's your new tune's name, Caddy Nova. I think that's fantastic. Yeah. Hey, let's see what happened this week in Guild Wars 2 land. We got a patch. Got a patch with some changes to Mesmer and some changes to Warrior, which I guess are great. I'll take a look at those Warrior changes at some point, but apparently they're all right. They're better anyway. The Mesmer changes were largely power based. We'll take a look at Chrono at some point coming up here. But if you notice here this morning, I am on Female Medium Char, which is also known as the Guild Wars 2 Fashion Challenge mode. And if you Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Let's get some airplanes happening in the background. Sorry for the background noise, but I actually live on the edge of the water where seaplanes go in and out on a regular basis. At any rate, yes, female medium char would be Fashion Wars Challenge mode. I am happy with my female medium char, but she doesn't see a whole lot of play, and she doesn't see a whole lot of play because she was spec'd for the for Deadeye for several years. In fact, I rolled her for Deadeye. And Deadeye, maybe not my favorite spec in the game. I think I've been over this a little bit before. Deadeye, the only interesting thing I ever did on Deadeye was like a boon thief, where you could basically almost instantly perma 25 stacks of might and fury on people, but that was about it. And as nice as might and fury are, yeah. And you had to give up so much to make it happen, so maybe not the best use of your time. But it was kind of fun to play. It was all right. But for open world, I think I've been pretty clear on my thoughts on Thief. Thief needing a whole lot of help outside of Spectre, which you will note I am actually spec'd for. See what I did there? Spec. Okay, let's let that plane go through. Wow, it's a morning. I feel like it's like the Beachcombers. And I think actually you really have to be Canadian to know who the Beachcombers are. Yes, spectacular. Char, the fashion impaired race, medium also fashion impaired. Man, Char is super hard to fashion up. I'm not even going to front. I mean, it's better if you're going in heavy, but wow. Yeah, no. The female medium Char, it just doesn't get worse. Are you in BC? Yes, I am in British Columbia, Ronnie. I am on the west coast of Vancouver Island, the east coast of Vancouver Island on the west coast of the country, where it has been very, very hot lately, except for the last few days. Let's see what else happened this week. Yours truly went out and found a job. That was cool. So I got a job this week. That'll be nice. Job that I will most likely be able to fit a whole bunch of content creation in at the same point. So yeah, I'm pretty happy about that. So that was the big one. Hello from Ontario. Ronnie, I was actually born in Northern Ontario. Northern Ontario is where I typically come from. Chars do not do well with the Vegas showgirl light female armor. I don't have a light female char. I have two char. I have this and I have a heavy. Yeah, I can't see the char and the masquerade outfits, which again are like the Brazilian showgirls. Is that in Canada? Sorry, I am European and don't know your geography. It absolutely is in Canada. It is about an hour and a half by a very large boat from Vancouver. So, yeah. Congrats on the new job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Should be interesting. Should be interesting. Get me off my ass a little bit, anyways, and make a little bit of money and meet people. So it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool. Good people in Ontario, yes. Ontario is actually where the majority of both sides of my family come from. A lot of my family, half of my family is French Canadian, but if you know anything about Ontario, you know there are a lot of pockets of French people there. So half my family being French Canadian, the other half being just from Ontario. Work from home or an in-office job? It is absolutely an in-office job. So there we go. Thank God. I am so tired of sitting in front of the computer all the time. This is probably about the least computer-related job I have had in the past 15 years. So it's actually kind of nice to be kind of standing and doing things. I actually quite like it. Jojo guys, new guy from Germany. Any EU guilds here? Eric, I do not personally know of any EU guilds. I do know that probably one of the better EU guilds currently going is one called Kind, Kind. And they, if I'm not mistaken, there's a streamer named Leomanaz who does regular kind of hero point trains and open world meta event trains and stuff like that, who runs the guild. And from everything I hear, these guys are like some of the nicest, chillest people. They've been recommended to me by Cersei, Sage Cersei, who, if you know what, if you guys do not know who Cersei is, give me a quick moment. I'm not usually one for dropping links on you all, but I am a really big fan of Sage and her people. So I'm going to drop a link for you guys in here for somebody whose stream I really like. So take a look at Sage when you get a few minutes. She is super chill, super fun. Have quickly, her and her guild, Fang, Only Fangs, have actually quickly become some of my favorite people to play the game with. So definitely check it out. Just catching up on the chat. You did not embarrass yourself, Lauren. Lucas, I mostly main Engineer, Necro, and Revenant in that order. I have no idea what Aurene Legendary to shoot for. Lucas, I'm going to be honest with you. I claimed my Aurene Precursor, and I claimed it because it is the last terrestrial legendary weapon that I need. I have one of every on-land legendary weapon other than the longbow. And I don't have the longbow because people who have watched my content understand I'm not a big longbow enjoyer on just about any class. Did enjoy it a little bit back in the day on Ranger, but yeah. So I'm not really super kind of in there on that, but I got to think, if I'm really looking to maximize the use between Engineer, Revenant, Necro, that's going to be really hard. It's going to be really hard because of the lack of kind of bleed over between the three. Might look at staff for both the Necro and the Revenant. Might look at dagger. I don't know, but I'm not sure there's anything that really goes through all three of those. So you may want to take another look. I love working from home. You know, I have loved working from home. My problem is I just got to get out of the house more, to be honest. You know, it's been a long couple of years of pandemic related uh, restrictions on my life, whether it was the job where, you know, over a year and a half, I worked about 4 months because of the pandemic in Montreal. And then getting back here and getting slammed with the pandemic myself for a little while. So I really was feeling the need at the beginning of last week to get out of the house more, touch grass, get a little more air. So there we go. Robin, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good to see you. Good to see you. I kind of also feel like none of the dragon variant skins really do much for me on engineer. I think that's a really valid complaint on the new skins, particularly if you're running any kind of tech related character, anything that's supposed to look vaguely techy. I don't think that so far the legendaries have really offered any of that. But, you know, that gets back to a problem we used to have in City of Heroes. And I'll just touch on that. You know, when developers are going ahead and creating cosmetics, they really want to make them as generic as possible while still being beautiful. And they want to make them as generic as possible so that, you know, as many people as possible are able to kind of fit that aesthetic into their character creations. And I think that the legendaries so far have really kind of suffered from that. I think that there's been a lot of kind of nice legendary variants, and I really like a lot of those legendary variants. And let me also go on record as saying I think the legendary variant system is absolutely phenomenal. I think it's a great system. I think it's one of the more interesting things they did in End of Dragons. But at the same time, for me personally, you know, I'm kind of at the point where I'm just building the last legendary weapon that I don't have. I may look at making some underwater weapons at some point, but that longbow will be it. I'm also in the process of finishing the rifle. And I'm making the HMS Divinity just because I really want cannonballs coming out on my on my power Mac. Next is armor. Yeah, you know, Caddy, that it probably is the situation. I think my next thing after I finish the rifle is I'm probably going to take a look at doing the raid armor in heavy. I think I've gotten my feet deep enough into the raiding that I can actually start progressing those collections. Is the Virtuoso build coming out soon? I've been waiting for it since you posted on YouTube about it. Yeah, you know what? Give me a couple of quick seconds here. We have people. Let me pull this up really quickly. I'll give you a quick preview of this. Lauren, this is the Virtuoso build that I'm currently mucking about with. It is in Celestial gear at this point. I really haven't found any compelling reason to not run it in Celi. I was running it in some Viper's gear, and the Viper's gear is kind of nice, but the Celi gear is really smooth. I'll just pull this up on the screen, give you a good idea on it. So yeah, that was another thing I completed this week. I finished this set of Ascended armor that is all in Celestial with all of my raid winnings, or not raid winnings, sorry, all of my strike winnings. I will say this to you guys, you know, I finished this set of Ascended armor for about 45 gold. So those of you guys looking to gear up alts, please remember that strikes are there. And I'm just going to bump over and reiterate where you will do this. And it is right over here. Bear with me because I think this is super important for you guys. I get a lot of questions on, you know, people making Ascended armor, making their first set of Ascended armor, feeling that Ascended armor is too much of a time or a resource sink. I'm just not sure that I agree with that. crystals. All right. Best voice actress in the game. So if we come into here and we go into here, we've got the Ascended Armor options. You'll see I'm at exactly 0 blue profit shards, which are used to get these. These blue profit shards, probably your best course in getting Ascended gear these days. Much cheaper than the other options. I was going to do some in World versus World, but then you realize you need a stack of Memories of Battle for each piece of Ascended gear, which is 45 gold. And then they're only about half price anyways. So, you know, my big recommend, if you like the strikes, do them. If you don't like the strikes, so be it. Let's go for a quick run on this before I go back to Spectre. I'll give you an idea of how this plays and where I am at with it. We will go and do our usual grabbing of the bounty thing. And for those of you guys who are kind of hanging out this morning and looking for something to do, we are on NA and we are just going to derp some open world stuff. Nothing too kind of complicated. And get a good idea of where we're going on this. So here we go. I will catch up with the rest of chat in a moment. I'm trying to make a concerted effort to not go off on weird little squirrely tangents, because I realize my behavior sometimes in this chat is like a ranger in a World versus World Zerg, squirreling off, trying to catch runners and stuff like that. So we will move over here to this bounty in the desert. Oh yeah, I also got this sky scale skin, which I think is pretty beautiful. I'm not usually one for the particle effect skins on the mounts, but this one is really gorgeous, and I'm really happy about that. So thank you to Catty for that. So yeah, you'll get a good idea of how this plays here. My problem with it at this point is the sustain. It sustains itself all right. What it doesn't do super well is take big spikes of damage, which I think is kind of important. You know, I'm not one who says I have to be able to tank everything. Wow, look at us go here. I'm not one who says you have to be able to tank everything, but at the same time, you do need to be able to mitigate those spikes. And I'm just not sure that this does enough on that front, which, you know, I'm still kind of at a value judgment phase. Usually when I get to this phase where I feel like it's almost there, it means that there's something I can probably do to get it a little closer to where I want it. But if you take a look, the passive sustain is really high. You can almost camp, what's that, polluter, which is the conditions that go down there. But if you take a look, the damage is fairly solid as well. So what did I finish there? Taking a look at 14 on a desert bounty. You know, I will take that action. That's not bad at all. That's not bad at all. So that is kind of where I'm at on this Condi Virtuoso. I think it's strong enough, and I wouldn't have a problem, you know, finishing the video at this point. But how I really feel is that I just feel like it needs just a little something, you know, I guess is the best way to put it. You know, I don't want to belabor the point, but when I'm playing with a build, I get a general feeling when it's coming up just a little shorter than it should, particularly for big game hunting. So I don't know how I feel about it. It's a super selfish build, which is the other problem with it. You guys know, since the launch of Path of Fire, I've been kind of focusing on what other characters are kind of bringing to the party, or sorry, what the characters are bringing to the party, as well as being able to, you know, handle the big day-to-day stuff. And this really is kind of where I'm at on that. Catching up. Thanks, Caddy. You have good taste. Yeah, that skin is great. I'd love one for my Virtuoso to roll around with. It is absolutely beautiful. My Virtuoso experience agrees. You can get spiked to death before you know it. Yeah. And that really is the one thing I'm worried about before I kind of put it out to people. Which is not to say, again, that it isn't super powerful, because it really is powerful, and I'm really a fan of it. So I don't know. I don't know if any of you guys are really good on Mesmer. I definitely take a few ideas, but everything I've tried to do at this point to kind of increase the survivability of it has led to a scenario where I've just gimped the damage, and that's like the last thing you want to do. But you know, if you take a look, the damage is exceptional for an open world build. It really is. So on the secondary weapon set, I'm currently running Scepter and Offhand Sword. I'm not sure that this is the play at this point, to be honest with you. Everything else I've tried has just led me back to Staff. And Staff is great. You know, I love me some Staff, but at the same time, I was just kind of looking for something a little bit different because, you know, if I'm going to play Staff on Mesmer, I'm going to play a Staff Mirage. I'm going to just... There's just no reason not to. No. There we go. But, you see, the passive life leech is absolutely there, you know. So you can take those sustained hits. It's just that going solo, I run into a few problems. And that could be learned to play. I'm not sure. Like I say, you know, I've always been pretty transparent about my mesmering is not as solid as I'd like it to be. All right, I'm going to kill this thing. And we'll take a look at where we are. Come on, die. There we go. Yeah, it's why I lost confidence in Mesmer. It's not even a glass cannon at this point. Well, it's got the cannon. I mean, Virtuoso's got the cannon. I think Mirage has the cannon. But really, oh look, we got this little event just to jump in on us here. I mean, the cannon is absolutely there. You know, that's not insignificant damage against a desert bounty. So let's just kind of handle these dudes here. Yeah, Scepter is definitely not the play on this, though. I guess is the other thing. Let's see. Bitwise, good morning. Good morning, Bitwise. It is good to see you. Nebris, hi, and all enjoy your very useful class videos. Thank you very much, Nebris. I do appreciate that. I do absolutely and legitimately, honestly appreciate the positive comments like that. I do spend a fair bit of time going over some pretty low-level stuff in the videos, and I realize that there's a certain segment of the population out there that wants 40k DPS with 2 buttons, and great, but that's just not how I enjoy playing the game. And when I go through and I spend the time to kind of explain things to people, and people come back and say, hey, that was really valuable, that to me it means I'm doing it right. I'm doing it right. It's not as strong as it used to be is what I meant. The sustain is not up to par. I probably have to work harder at it. Ronnie, keep one thing in mind, that currently there's no single sustain option left in the game that'll let you camper in circles. I mean, all that died at the beginning of End of Dragons. And really, if you're looking for that beefy sustain, you have to look at these days at doing it in a variety of different ways, like putting little bits together. So a good example is this build here, where I'm using the Signet of Ether, which allows you to heal yourself whenever you summon an illusion. So this will give us some passive sustain, as well as this trait down here, which is blade attacks inflict bleeding on critical hits, and a percentage of your condition damage dealt heals you. So it's kind of the situation where before you could get 1 or 2 things that would really just carry your sustain. I think the only class left that has that kind of godlike sustain is still Revenant. I think you can still do a lot of really over-the-top things with the sustain on Revenant, but the rest of them, probably not, you know. And I think that's by design. And, I don't have a problem with it. I get that, the concern was that a lot of group content was being trivialized. Look at us go. Hey, I'm liking that quickness, you guys. That's really nice. It is really nice. And we are rocking this. So this warrior thing seems to be real. I may have to look at the whole warrior thing. I think somebody on Reddit posted a shout heal warrior too. So that'll be interesting. Take a better look at that in a few moments. But we are burning this down. This is really slick. This is really slick. I really like the effect of those banners. I mean, that's like, you can feel it. I got to get rid of this sword scepter combo after this fight. But yeah, this is, going back to what I was saying, this is kind of where I'm at with this build. I would like to do something else with it. I'm not sure I have to be honest with you guys. A lot of this just could be, me worrying a little too much. And that happens with the builds sometimes. Sometimes I worry that they are not quite strong enough or not quite something or other. And it takes kind of making somebody else try it, which is what Caddy ends up doing most of the time. She ends up testing these builds because she's all legendary and it doesn't kill her financially to do something. So I may get her to test this and give me her thoughts on it. She's played a bit of Virtuoso as well. Sword for the block. No, Lucas, sword I'm using for right here, Fencer's Finesse. And I'm not using it very well, to be honest with you. Which is to gain the stacking ferocity effect. And that is great and all, but I'm not feeling that either, which is kind of leaving me in a situation where that trait line is not really bringing in the value that I would hope for. It scares me if my health bar starts going down, I panic. There's not a lot we can do here at this point to get around that. Virtuoso needs to get ahead in a fight and not fall behind, or you'll eat pavement, unfortunately. I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think there's a lot of truth to what you just said. You know what? Once I kill this thing, I'm going to go and I'm going to swap to staff. And I think staff is just better here. Let's remove our accuracy sigil and our bursting sigil. You'll note I'm also using accuracy sigils in both of these. This is actually how I'm getting to the crit cap. The crit cap, I believe, is 55% on Virtuoso. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But there we have it. So let's go put the staff in here. Oh, good. And I totally put it in the wrong one. That's just great. Let's go back to dagger, pistol. And let us set all of this again for Celestial. And let us put our runes and sigils in. So that's bursting and accuracy. And really, the thing with Virtuoso, if you played it, you really want to hit the crit cap on Virtuoso. Super important to hit the crit cap on Virtuoso. Use in here. Why are you not working? Use. Okay. Use. What is going on here? Huh. Really now? Oh, because you already have one of those in there. That's just... Welcome to Saturday morning. Yeah. All right. And let's put this in here. So there we've got it set back up. So the other thing I was thinking about this build was finding a way to crit cap without the accuracy sigils. I think would be really nice. Because then I could go ahead and put those earth sigils in there, and that would be really good. Scourge plus Spellbreaker have really good sustain in Mayo. Spellbreaker just sacrifices a lot of damage. Boom Broadcast. Boom Broadcast, welcome to the stream. Yes, and that is really the problem with Spellbreaker right now. Spellbreaker probably about the weakest open world spec. Though I haven't, again, tested it with the banners. It might be good, but currently I just can't see a compelling reason to take Spellbreaker in PvE. And, I've tried. I've really tried. It just lags so far behind any of the other options. I do like Bladesworn. I like Bladesworn a lot. But Spellbreaker, man, that approaches Deadeye and Dragon Hunter level. And you know what? Dragon Hunter easily better than Spellbreaker right now. As much as I meme on Dragon Hunter, Dragon Hunter is in a much better place than I think Spellbreaker is. Spellbreaker, Daredevil in open world really need some assistance at this point, and I've been pretty clear about that in the past. Thankfully, it has the damage to do that. Yeah, absolutely. And, the damage is solid. The damage is solid on Virtuoso. Very solid. Still on Commander gear. Licentian, I still run that a lot too. I absolutely love that. But where I've been playing most Virtuoso is I've just been playing the Snow Crows build in instance PvE content. So if I'm going to do strikes or any kind of instance PvE content, I am 100% jumping on Virtuoso these days, and I'm just running a part Vipers, part Sinister, I want to say. Let's just take a look at this. So yeah, so this is Vipers and Rampagers. So you will note here when I'm running it for DPS, I'm running it in Viper's armor, Rampagers weapons, Rampager's back and amulet, and then Viper's trinkets. The reason we run it in Rampagers is to get us nice and up to that crit cap again. That crit cap super important on Virtuoso. So yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. You know what I am going to do before we continue, though, is I'm going to end our Virtuoso thing here and pop back on the Spectre and see how we do. The Commander gear, Ronnie, is different. I'm going to be straight with you. It's not the easy mode gameplay. If you want the easy mode gameplay, your option is 100% to go to what I was just doing, and there'll be a video on it over the next little bit. But in terms of active, fun gameplay, I love it in the Commander's gear. So basically, you're running a little bit of a boon spam thing, and it's really, really freaking sweet. Didn't they give a small buff to DH on this patch? They did some small work on... I'm not sure they did it to Dragon Hunter. The best thing to do would be to go out and pick up the patch notes, but I'm not sure that Guardians saw much love in the patch, to be honest with you. Interesting. It's sad when a class is so lame you don't even want to run it through hero points to move to a better spec. Oh, see, now here's the thing about that. Spellbreaker, to me, in terms of aesthetic, in terms of its class fantasy, is one of my favorites. I absolutely love Spellbreaker. I love the combat chatter in Spellbreaker. It really is cool, but boy, yeah, no, the execution maybe not so much. Well, this damage on this Spectre is not so bad. I'll take it. I'm not sure short bow is the play on that, but let's yeah, some nice boons. That's actually really nice, guys. So yeah, this is the Spectre build I've kind of been building in the background. And it's a question of the question on this one becomes, is it fun? It's powerful, but is it fun? And I'm not sure that it does that part right now. It's super... Boy, how do I explain this? is really the question. Because I mean, you can see this thing is tight. Wow, we did really good that time. We burned that thing down. All right, let's go to Sandswept, and we'll do a couple of bounties over here as I'm shooting the shite, so to speak. Nice fashion. Thank you. Thank you. I have Selly Ascended now. Ronnie, Selly Ascended armor. If you are an open world enthusiast, maybe one of the best things you can do for yourself. Not even gonna front. Yes, Gail, you should take Bonanza and turn it into a character name, I think. I think that that's probably a really good deal. Let us go with Emog the Soul Beast. Okay. Spellbreaker is very beefy, but the damage is woefully lacking. I'm going to qualify my agreement on that at this point, bitwise. I agree in essence that it isn't where it should be. I got to be clear that I haven't played Spellbreaker since before End of Dragons is the last time I played Spellbreaker. So that really is saying something. There have been some changes to Warrior, in case we didn't know. So with those changes to Warrior, this is not... Oh, good. So this bounty just summoned in this event. I will wait for my pals on this one. Yeah. Utility and efficacy are not the whole enchilada in calling a spec playable. You know, Gail, that is absolutely true. And I think damage is I've said it before. It looks like I'm going to have to handle this, isn't it? Can I hit this thing? No. You know what? We are not doing this bounty. We just aren't doing it in the middle of that event. That's just... I'm just saying it now. I'm not opening that level of craziness into my Saturday morning. That's just how I roll. We'll grab another one here. Yep, I have it in 3 weeks. Yeah, absolutely. Is the free legendary amulet from the achievement hard? I'm not going to say it's hard. I'm also not going to say it's free. And what do I mean by that? Let's grab Iron Shell. Okay. I'm not going to say it's free. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of time, and it's a lot of story, and it's a lot of grind. If you've already done the content, and by I said that, I mean if you've been through season 2, 3, and 4, as well as Icebrood Saga, it is a long journey. It will take you many weeks. Is it worth it? Absolutely. Legendary items are absolutely worth it. But is it hard becomes, what is your tolerance for open world? And when I say that, I don't just mean doing events and metas and timer stuff. I'm talking about jumping puzzles. I'm talking about sitting through season 2 again. I mean, if you've done season 2 before, you know that season 2 is just not the best content in Guild Wars 2. Season 2 is... And I'm going to say it right now, season 2 isn't even as good as this repolished season 1 stuff that we're getting at this point. This is an event. Oh, we got it's been forever. We got one of the Joko trick bits here, the ambush. Cool. Let's handle this ambush event and then we'll catch up. But the good thing about this Spectre build is, in addition to everything it's doing, it's pretty strong in terms of its group support. I'm not getting the permanent alacrity that I might hope for, but otherwise it's pretty good. It's pretty good. But yeah, getting back to what I said, I would feel different about that amulet if I didn't have to do the Silver Wastes jumping puzzle again, which honestly, some of my least favorite content of this game. If I didn't have to, camp the High Sage in Lake Doric, if I didn't have to do that god-awful JP in Draconis Mons. So a lot of my hatred for this goes to jumping puzzles and the quality of Season 2. So, would I do it? Absolutely. If I hadn't done season two, I probably wouldn't be as hard on the content. I am pretty hard on the content. I'm not going to be front on that. I don't think that season two is really good stuff. I think that season two is pretty weak. Pretty weak. So weak. So weak. Two of my favorite things, season two and jumping puzzles. Tell you what, if that is what you are into, yeah, then season two is for you. But it is, yeah, those are probably two of my least favorite things to do in this game. You know, season two has some bright moments. Season two has Glint's Lair, which I honestly still feel is one of the better instances in terms of story that we have in Guild Wars 2. The Glint's Lair instance in season 2 is really good. Mechanically, it's fun. I like that one a lot. I like the fight in the Centaur camp. The fight in the Centaur camp stands out as one of the better PvE story experiences in Guild Wars 2. The rest of it, though, yeah, not so much. Not so much. You know, Jackson, let me just be super clear on that. Okay, so we have a bounty and a hunting target here. Cool. Let me be super clear on legendaries. Where I generally stand on them is they are absolutely phenomenal if they are not impeding your enjoyment of the game. And I think that legendaries can easily get in the way of enjoying the game, which I think is obviously unfortunate. Wow, I'm not playing this very well, to be honest with you guys. Let's get away here. And I think that the legendary grind can impede your enjoyment of the game. And I know that there have been points when I've done a legendary and I've just said, no, I'm never doing another one. I just can't do it anymore. It's just too grindy. I can't put together yet another set of T6 mats. Wow, that is awful. I'm taunted. Wow, that is some ugly control. Just ugly control. So that's kind of where I stand on it. Here's the other thing about amulets these days. The amulets in Bura Marches are essentially disposable. And I think that that's kind of an important fact to put in there, that you're talking about grinding a very long, lengthy kind of series of achievements when, you know, you can get an ascended amulet, a stat selectable ascended amulet, for about 20 minutes worth of work. And I think that that's important to keep in mind when you are wondering whether or not you want to create these things and you're making these value judgments. Wow, that taunt is just stupid. All right. Okay. So legendary armory means you can use the same item on all my characters. Yes, that is exactly what the legendary armory means. It means that the item no longer exists in your inventories. It means that that item can absolutely go and be stat changed at will on any character. So I think that that's super important to keep in mind. Yeah, I gotta say that taunt, probably about one of the worst mechanics in this game. That was just stupid. Amen. Season 2 sucked. You know, yeah, I've said it before. I won't belabor the point. I mean, just not the best that Guild Wars 2 has to offer, to be honest. If you do the amulet, consider doing the Aurora and Vision. Oh, yeah, Emmanuel, let me just focus on how right you are. If you are going to do that legendary amulet, absolutely open the collections to the other ones, because holy crap, if you don't, you need to do a whole bunch of stuff twice. And holy smokes, it's bad. It's just mind-numbingly bad. Let us go here while we continue our little adventure this morning. Guess my sarcasm. There's such thing as legendary burnout. There is very much something such thing as legendary burnout. I am a big victim of legendary burnout. I think after I did my legendary armor in World versus World, wow, I don't think I did another legendary for 6 months after that armor. That was just awful, just awful. Do those ascended amulets have ritualists? No, they certainly do not, Windshark. The ritualists and dragon stats are still mindlessly borked in terms of their acquisition. I can't. Yeah, Caddy jumping in and saying that the legendary armor is absolutely what broke me on legendaries. Absolutely. Um, yeah. Boy, they don't have those stats at this point, and I currently think that that's freaking awful. And I would shoot my mouth off about it, but I have a feeling that what I would really like to do is just make a video on it. I'd like to give my feedback for End of Dragons, and I think a lot of my negative feedback for End of Dragons revolves around this kind of stuff, to be honest with you. End of Dragons does some different stuff in terms of rewards, and places those stat combinations as rewards for doing content. And what that means is it makes the acquisition of these stats harder than just about anything else. I mean, to be able to freely buy these stat selectable ascended trinkets with dragon stats, you have to finish the personal story on whatever character you'd like to buy these things for. And you need to finish, I think, even the weapon collection, you need to do that. So here's the thing. You've got something that used to be absolutely free before, and you are now talking about a situation where the acquisition of that becomes a long grind. That, in my mind, is what I call artificial grind. That is absolutely artificial at that point. And I have a problem with that kind of artificial grind because if the stats are not better, okay, if the stats are not better than any other stats, like if Ritualist is not empirically better than just about anything else, then I am going through a situation where I am spending more time for something I used to get for basically zero effort. If the stats are indeed better, then isn't this the kind of gear grind that this game specifically was trying to avoid? Right? When we go back to the manifesto TM and we talk about not making characters or not making the player grind for power and not making the character or not making the player have to jump through hoops beyond over and above, just selecting those stats. So there's something wrong with the acquisition of those stats. I understand why they did it. It's like play the content is kind of the idea behind it. But I think the execution of that is absolutely awful and leads us to a scenario where we are playing a shell game in terms of the content. And I'm really not a fan of that. Really not a fan of that. So Aurora Awakening is the first one. Emmanuel, absolutely correct. Yes, if you are going to do the Legendary collection, opening Aurora and opening the other one is there. Look at your Spectre Go. I haven't played that with any enthusiasm yet. I should try. Spectre is pretty good. It's pretty powerful. I can talk about what my problems are with it, and it's the same problem that goes back to Scrapper, Quickness Scrapper. It's the same problem that goes back to what they just did with Herald and Tempest. And that is that I end up firing these utility powers off to maintain a boon rather than using them for what they are actually for. So the way I've got this set up right now is that when I do a well like this, I'm actually generating my alacrity. So the gameplay that comes out of this is that I absolutely have to fire these pretty much off cooldown in order just to maintain that alacrity, right? So There's my alacrity maxed. I got 16 seconds. So, and this one will be back in time, and then I can fire this one off as well. So what that means is that, let me just pick a bounty and get people on the way here. Let us go fight Dork the Wanderer. So what that means is I end up firing these powers off, not for the utility that they bring, but for the yeah, I mean, I can go ahead and if we have other people, sorry, I'm digressing off into a bunch of different directions here. Let me go ahead and make a squad. I will create said squad. I will call it private for the time being. And anybody who'd like to join, please go ahead and do so. Mind Circus 1506. So getting back to what I was saying, it's the same problem that when I'm playing Scrapper. When I'm playing Quickness Scrapper, what I need to do is fire those gyros off, not for what the gyros are doing, but for the benefit that I am attempting to proc off them. It's the same problem if you watch the Tempest video that I put up a couple of weeks ago. And it's the same problem on this one here. I guess I'm coming to terms with it a little more. It really did kind of spoil my enjoyment of it at the beginning, to be honest. But kind of at this point, I'm kind of resigned myself to the fact that this is where it's going to be. It's not an awful time, but catching back up. EOD has too many acquisition chains. I feel like I spend most of my time fighting the plan of the game rather than playing the game. Gale, I think that is a problem for veteran players who have not played other MMOs, I think is the best way to put it. Because while I agree with you completely, I'm not sure that this is a problem for new players that have played other MMOs. I think what we're talking about with that is very much the kind of situation where a player would kind of expect these kind of things and acquisition methods and stuff like that. And it's consistent with other gameplay loops in other games. And while I personally am miffed by it, I can absolutely see why people are doing it, why ArenaNet is doing it. I may not like it, and me as a long-term veteran player, this grates me absolutely the wrong way. I can see that as a newer player, it absolutely does help with the engagement, the long-term engagement. It gives people things to work for, etc. And I think that that's important, and also something that Guild Wars 2 runs a little light on, which is rewards. The problem is they took something that used to be a QOL and they made it a reward, and I think that that's kind of the problem with it. Well, I'm getting dusted by y'all here. Look at the Firebrand, and what is Loop Hunt I'm playing? I just got to see this. This is Soul Beast. Very nice, very nice. The stats are not better because we lack a Condi boon duration rune. Well, I mean, we have some Condi boon duration runes, right? Like, if I want quickness, I don't have a problem with it. But, a Condi alacrity version would be really, a Condi damage alacrity extension would be really nice. Let us fight General Morgue at this point. So that's, there are some problems with Condi and boon duration, but, I guess that's what, it's kind of what Ritualists is meant for. I don't know. It's definitely what Plague Doctors is good for. But, of course, Plague Doctors, you sacrifice a fair bit of damage on that one. I think it's more I think it's more likely that the devs forgot to add Ritualists. No, I disagree completely. I'll be honest with you. I bugged the fact that there was no Ritualist stats available in the stat selected. I bugged it. Like, I wrote a proper bug report from somebody who used to write bugs for video games, put it up on the forum. And then somebody pointed me to the announcement of these stat selections. And it's pretty clear that from the wording they put in there that they are not meant to be in there. It is pretty clear from the wording that was used that this is the way that they wanted it, that getting these stats open is for people with legendary gear or opening it through the channels in Path of Fire. Do you agree that Char is the best race? No, I do not. Asura is absolutely the master race. Absolutely. I kind of wish Spectre would get of alacrity off something else, even if it were something as simple as whenever you shadow step. Lucas, where I'm at on how I wish this played, I wish the alacrity was similar to how it works on Renegade, where I'm overloading a simple skill. Why? Oh, good. More taunt. My favorite. When you play Renegade and you're looking to get that alacrity in there, you've got one button. It's the same way that Mechanist works, and that to me would be far preferable to this whole spamming utilities off cooldown just to maintain a boon kind of thing. I like the idea better of loading a single skill up. I think it's part of what appeals to people about the Mechanist playstyle. I think it's a big part of what people are enjoying about Mechanist is the ability to keep that up. I think, when you ask people what they loved about Renegade, I think that, the sustain, obviously, pre-nerf was a big part of it. But I think that the other part of what people like about Renegade is the simplicity. I think that that's also what we are getting, people really kind of showing their love for when it comes for Mechanists, other than the overtuned and broken parts of it. I think this is simplicity, and I think that kind of simplicity when it comes to maintaining a boon is preferable to firing a bunch of powers just to upkeep a boon that are really doing nothing else. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I get that there's a lot of other ways to make that happen. I want to love Spectre, but it really feels wonky to me, especially for Thief. I just want to like it. I mean, it's good. It's just not. It's just not fantastic. It's easily my least favorite out of End of Dragons. Easily my least favorite out of End of Dragons. But that is not a bad thing because it's also not unplayable. Like, you asked me what my least favorite was out of Path of Fire, and I could tell you it was Deadeye, and I could tell you I played less than 100 hours of Deadeye. Let us grab this one here. The Awakened Stray, and that one's for Cattywampus. And I played less than 100 hours of Deadeye. I could absolutely play more than 100 hours of this one. I could absolutely play it more than 100 hours of Spectre. Because I think it's a lot more flexible. It's got the support option to it, which, if you guys know me, is pretty important. Pretty important. Hugo says, I use Alacrity Spectre on CM Fractals and it's good. You place Wells spam 3, go into Shroud, and go out charging with enough time to place the wells again. Yeah, Hugo, that again, I think that's pretty much how it's played. How Spectre is indeed the Vision TM for Spectre. I don't think there's anything wrong with that per se, but if you ask me when I'm playing Quickness Scrapper what I would rather do, would I rather one button upkeep my quickness, or would I have to sacrifice the utility of all of my wells for it? The answer is pretty quick on that one. Okay, so we are in the Harpy zone here. Oh, good. And this guy teleports. That's awesome. There he is. I will catch up on chat in a moment. I do appreciate you guys kind of hanging out as I... The thing that I will say I like about Spectre is, if you guys know me, what I enjoy about a lot of specs is not being able to do an acceptable amount of damage, maybe not tier 4 fractal damage, but what I like doing is an acceptable amount of damage as well as permaing a big boon like quickness or alacrity. So I really like that. The alacrity is here on it. There's no question about that. So it's good. This is probably going to be where this build ends up. Like I say, I'm running short bow. May not be the play, but there we go. I will absolutely catch up on our chat here in a moment. Wow, y'all are savages. Y'all are like big time savages. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking we go and hit up a couple of those bounties in Jahai, which are kind of interesting. I like the bounties in Jahai. Let us go to the Jahai Bluffs and the Yatendi Village Waypoint. And yeah, I'll catch up with chat now. Leadership and Traveler runes are your only major Condi boons. Leadership, Traveler, and Firebrand runes are good, but the Firebrand runes are mainly for quickness builds, to be honest with you. Those would be another option in terms of boons and that. You know what we're actually going to do at this point before we go on is I am going to pause the chat for a moment. And I think, you know, guys, it's time to take 5 minutes. It is time to smoke them if you got them. I will be right back. Really appreciate you guys kind of hanging out here this morning, and I will be quick.
Oh, what a pleasant surprise.
DNYCKS, thank you for the follow, the subscription, whatever they call it here on YouTube. I do appreciate it. I am back. Give me a moment and let me catch up with chat, and then we will make our way to the bounty board here. Leadership and Traveler runes are. I was thinking about that. You know, the other thing that you can count, Lucas, there are anything that really gives you the plus to all stats. So you could technically count divinity runes in there, stuff like that. I think you could do that. I like divinity. I like durability runes, and sometimes I'll mix it with leadership. I use durability runes in World versus World. I think that's the only place I find a ton of value to the durability runes. I run durability runes on my Herald in World versus World, where they are a very big difference maker. Those of you who may be struggling with the World versus World memes, I will absolutely recommend you all take a look at those durability runes. They are one of the easiest ways to do that. Okay, so it can champion confused essence, and what is the other one? The confused Eden and the Zomoros champion weapons. That one's really hard. You know what? Let's give it a go on that one. Let's give it a go on that one. Hi, good to see you this morning, Thaddeus. Very good to see you. I'm not doing Easy 3 this morning. Those of you who were here last week watching us wipe a couple of times on the Bears, I didn't want to go back there this week. I'll be honest with you guys. That was a humbling experience. I haven't wiped on Bears like that for a while, so I was a little bit down. So let's do that. Good stream title. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jago Rar. I came up with it myself. Okay, so the weapons. These must have a mechanic, right? You gotta think so. Let us see how this goes. So I will just get myself happening in here, and then we'll take a look at the chat in a couple of seconds. Not sure about my damage here. Not as good as it might be. Okay, so there we go. You know, usually on stuff like this, I start running a more support-centric build when I'm running, you know, larger groups like this. Oh, we got you. We got you. We got you. There we have it. Oh, and you over here. I will catch you. And there we have it. I agree with that. That's why I play Power Alack Mech. I give permanent alacrity and deal, you know, 25k plus damage. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at on open world builds these days. You know, what are you providing in addition to the solid damage becomes a really big question of mine. Obstructed. Are these little... Wow, that's super annoying. Okay. That's kind of where I'm at on open world builds in general these days. I think that, you know, my time of big game hunting is good. I think there are some good builds for that. But when it comes to your general everyday use, I think it's important that you realize that we seldom play this game completely solo. Yeah, this boss has sniper going, so if you find yourself getting chunked down really quickly, that is why. Oh, don't be sorry. You know, no remorse. This is one of the harder ones, to be honest with you guys. It really isn't an easy one. Let's try and break that bar. You know what? I think Bassy Venom's probably the play on this, to be honest with you guys. I think particularly if I was running in a large group, I'd be running Bassy Venom here. Instead of shortbow, try pistol offhand. You know what? I think I'll do that. I think I'll do that after this fight. I made sure I had the weapons in hand, so to speak. And I'll definitely give that a shot afterwards. Because, yeah, no, this damage is ass at this point. Let's pick you up. And the Scourge taking us all to town on the DPS charts. We got you. Yeah, Sniper is no joke. There we go. I'm pretty impressed with this here. This is one of the harder bounties. So there we go. And there it is. Event successful. Let us do it. Welcome back. Thank you. Got a jet early. Bitwise, you have a great day. Ronnie. Lolin. There we go. Perpetual Puddles is a boss name. Go Scourge. It truly is. It's probably the best name for a Scourge. All right. Are there two bounty boards on this map? I want to do the Pet Rock one. Is the other one over here, or is there another one? Where's the Pet Rock? Give me another moment. Laughing at the Bears last week. Yeah, I tell you, that was a whole other level. Is that really it? So the Pet Rock has to come off that one, right? Okay. Onwards with our day. Let us go back to our bounty board and continue. So Perpetual Puddles, you were running that on Plague Doctor. Very cool. Very cool. I should definitely take another good look at Plague Doctor for open world. I know Valen was recommending a Plague Doctor Ranger build for a while. I didn't watch the video, but I heard talk of it. Oh, they took our jobs. They took our jobs. All right. I think that's it. Okay, well, let us hit another map then. Vabby has some, but Vabby is a crappy map to walk around in. Let us go to, yeah, let us go here. Let us go here. Okay. So, Spectre, yeah, you know, as it stands, I could confidently put this, you know, put a video up on this, but, you know, okay, that's not where the bounty board is. Where is the bounty board? The bounty board's down over here. My bad. So I could definitely put this up at this point. The question is it fun, right? And I'd like to do something that just increases the fun factor of it, because while strong is part of it, I think fun is a really big point. Legendary Smolge. Let us do the Legendary Smolge. I'm not even sure I've ever done this bounty, to be honest with you guys. So let's see what happens. Let us see what happens. And after this one, I'm going to take a long look at Chronomancer. Power Chrono, I think, is what I'd really like to try. I think Power Chrono is really one I would like to master. And I think it really just needs some love, some open world love. And specifically, you know I go light on power builds. I'd like to do a few more. I've heard Valen talk about the importance of fun as well. Yeah, and that's part of the reason why I'm such a fan of his, is that I absolutely think fun is as important as anything in this game. And that's why, you know, when people ask me, you know, what is the best open world build, I say, yeah, well, it's probably Celestial Hollowsmith. And it's Celestial Hollowsmith not because Celestial Hollow does the best job at anything, but I think it's Celestial Hollowsmith because Celestial Hollowsmith just offers this fun factor, this quality of life. Are we really burning this thing this fast? Is this... Wow, dude. That's crazy. 22k from the Plague Doctor Scourge. It happened. I saw it. I was here. Absolutely fantastic. I've said it before, to mine that fun is as important a currency. Yeah. Fun is the most important currency in this game, and doing what you find is fun. So, okay, that time Perpetual Puddle says that time was in Viper's gear. That is also really good to hear. I have a Viper's Scourge as well. But yeah, I think fun is the most important. But how you have fun is I think that there are some things that you can put and say, these things are objectively fun. Doing a fair amount of damage is effectively fun. I don't think builds that do no damage are fun. I've got a very basic amount that a build needs to be able to do on a golem before I will play it, and a lot of that is just the fact that not doing damage sucks to be honest. So damage is part of it. Survivability is part of it. I think you absolutely need to be able to survive comfortably and take a few hits in order for something to be fun. I think that that's part of it. I don't think it's fun if you're getting smoked every 5 minutes in your Berserker's gear. I don't think it's fun if you are, if you can't Condi cleanse or stun break, things like that. So I think that that's a really big part of it. And I don't think that you feel that long efforts are bad if you are enjoying the class and build that you're playing. And I guess that's pretty self-explanatory, but I think sometimes when we get into chasing the meta, so to speak, which, obviously I have no problem with that. I think that I play meta builds all the time, But I think that if you get involved in chasing the best all the time, the highest numbers, the best gold, all of that, I think that does breed some contempt. The familiarity breeds contempt, I think, is part of it. I think is a big issue. I think if you don't have fun, you can burn out. Absolutely. Wow, nice plays. Absolutely. Fun brings you back to game. Grind pushes you away from the game. I don't mind grinding some things, but then there are the grinds in this game that I feel. There are some grinds in this game that I feel really change the way that I enjoy it, and I'll put it to you that guys this way. Like I did the bug weapon collection in Dry Top. You've got all those weapon collections that come from the fossilized weapons and everything that you craft or you can build them, etc. So I did that entire collection back in the day, and by the end of that collection, I was freaking done. Like, I did part of it in World versus World. I just wanted to complete it. I wanted all of those bug weapons. And holy smokes, did I feel bad at the end of it just about the game. And I think it's the same thing when we talk about legendary burnout. I think it's the exact same thing. I think if you're single-mindedly focused on any one thing in this game, that it starts to feel awful, I think is the best way to put it. It starts to feel like a job, like a task. It doesn't feel like something you're doing for the fun of it. So there you go. I have fun on my flamethrower mech and only do 10k. And I think that again speaks to exactly what we're talking about. I think if you're enjoying it, go ahead and do it. But, if you're in a group scenario, I think that's when you start thinking about it a little differently. I think if you're going into group content, I think it's important to pull your weight. I think it's important to bring the appropriate boons and stuff like that. I think that is as important as anything when it comes to, playing an MMO. So I will always tell people, when you are playing group content, if you're going into strikes as a pug, particularly if you're playing raids or fractals above T2, like so T3 or T4 fractals, and you're pugging these things, I think it's important to play a really strong build at that point. And I know that may not be the most accepting take in the world. I think our best way to go is actually from this little thing here. I'm wasting our time. Oh no, I'm being inefficient. I have a Diviner Chrono that does 15 on a Golem. Survivability is a bit shaky at times. I think 15 is on a Golem, depending on what you're talking about. Like, where is this bounty? Is it below us, this event, or is it... Oh, it should be back here. Okay, well, let's come back here into this and see what we got. Oh, there he is. Okay. Let's get him. You know, I'll go back to what I was saying. I think that... Ooh, wow. The pain is real. The pain is absolutely real here. I think it's important to run an accepted build when you are, you know, pugging group content. I think that doing what's expected of you is important. You know, and I say this because I've been playing a lot of strikes. Obviously, I was talking at the beginning of the stream about the fact that I've been, you know, I grinded out that armor set in strikes and stuff like that. One of the things about that was I ended up on a lot of squads where people joined as alacrity, and then, you know, your alacrity uptime was 25% and stuff like that. And you realized that, you know, they were on Renegade and they weren't even running Righteous Rebel and stuff like that. And I think that's problematic. I think that particularly if you're joining a group with the expectation of certain, you know, levels of performance, I think it's important to actually upkeep those levels of performance, you know, particularly when you're pugging. A lot of this is pug specific, what I'm saying at this point. Only self buff 15k on a golem is really strong. Only self buff is absolutely really strong. 15k is really good self buffed, I think, anyways. Dance, welcome to the stream. What would be the best way, in your opinion, to obtain hero points to unlock elite specs for an entirely new Guild Wars 2 player? Here is what I will recommend for that one in a moment here. Let me just hit this. Hero point trains are the #1 easiest way if you are doing it. So hero point trains, if you are hanging around in Verdant Brink every once in a while, you will see somebody advertise a hero point train. Those would be the quickest way. The other thing to know about the hero points in Heart of Thorns content is that... Oh, I see we're running into a lot of these ambushes. That's okay. Hero point trains are going to be easiest, but I think what's important to know about the hero points as it stands now is that there are a lot of soloable options across the three expansions, right? So while you don't really want to, you know, go around as you're first starting out the game and try and solo all of those hot hero points, I think if you do the hot hero points that are, you know, communes and stuff like that, and then you mix that into the easy ones in Path of Fire and the easy ones in End of Dragons, you could probably unlock an elite spec in an afternoon. I don't think that that's an exaggeration. I think that there are a lot of communes. You know, people say, oh, all the hero points. Holy smokes, that's me getting punted that time. He is real, but I have a... Wow, that is a nice little camera glitch there. That's great. Okay, I will res you. I'm going to have to get over here. That was a really nasty camera glitch. There we go. I'm going to get up here and kill this dude. We're all getting knocked off. Want to buy some stab. Where's our firebrand? Or our support firebrand, I guess. We've got a firebrand hard carrying the damage. Oh my. Oh dear. I'll catch up on chat in a few moments here. We're all getting punted. And I actually did not set up the pistol on this, which I think I will do at this point. So let's head over to the docks and I'll do that, and then we'll catch up. So yeah, I think that going through the hero points in all these things and just focusing on the communes and the veterans and stuff like that, like there are a lot of pretty easy hero points in Verdant Brink and in Auric Basin, etc. So there we go. Some guilds will also willingly form a mini hero point train. One idea I've had, Gail, and to the rest of you is like a video easiest 25 hero points. I probably think that's probably one of the best things I could do for people at this point. Nice backflip off a cliff, yes. Makes you appreciate the spite skill on TH. Absolutely it does. Absolutely it does. So we are out of jobs here, and I cannot go here on this tune, so bear with me. I'm just going to swap tunes back to the Virtuoso here. Bear with me here for a moment. Easiest 25 would be excellent content. Yeah, you guys are probably right. But, the other thing I would like to do at this point, actually, just come back here, guys. Actually, one of the things I would like to do at this point is get those gold guides underway. Those gold guides, actually, somebody was amazing and dropped a perfect name for the gold making guides in the Discord yesterday. So, yeah, mind over money. What do you guys think? Tell me that's not absolutely fantastic. Mind over money. Is going to be the title of the gold making guides, and I am going to give credit where credit was due here, and just take a moment because that was Red Salsa coming up with that one. Holy smokes, that was perfect. So that was kind of the last thing I need before I could get pumping on those, because you get into a video, you want to give the title of the videos, etc. So for not having those, I was kind of stuck on actually doing the content. So yeah, mind over money is the one. But yeah, I think 25 easy hero points is probably a really good play at this point. This is obviously also probably going to be one of the few ways I keep up with the DPS everybody else is doing here. Who's on this? Yeah, so there we have it. It does its job. It does its job very well. The DPS is there. That's burned, my friends. That is a burned boss. Dead as dinner. Wow. Y'all are savages. Okay, so let's grab this one here. I'm just pulling this up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a bounty board here. So let's go to that one. What is that mantra of pain you're using? No, the mantra I'm using is the stun break. And the reason I'm using it as a stun break is it's probably the most overloaded stun break in the game. So not only do you get a stun break on an ammo skill, but you get 4 seconds of stab, 3 stacks of it. It's pretty strong for a stun break, dudes. So mantra of concentration. Otherwise, I want to use the signets on this. Obviously, the 2 signets here are kind of non-negotiable. These are, signet of midnight and signet of domination are kind of needed for the Condi damage. So where is the bounty board on this map? Is that it? That's roller beetles. Come on, guys. Where is it? Does anybody else see it? Huh. All right. Oh, there it is. Like right there on the map. Right next to us. All right. Learn to map. Let's do it. Hi, I am new and playing as Thief now. What spec should I get first for an easy gameplay? Depends on what you're doing. If you are talking about easy gameplay for instanced content, okay? So if you are going in and wanting to go in on the instanced content and play it like that, so when I say that, I'm talking about strikes, raids, playing a classic DPS role, I really love playing Power Daredevil. I love playing Daredevil for a lot of reasons. If you are not big game hunting in this game, and when I say big game hunting, I mean soloing champions and stuff like that. If you're not doing that, I think Power Daredevil is a really, really good choice. I think Power Daredevil is a fun, interesting way to play the game. But the problem with Power Daredevil, let's get this thing and help this peepo. But if you're looking for something overpowered, Spectre is the way to go. My only recommendation is kind of that you avoid Deadeye. I know some people really like Deadeye, and that's not a knock against the people who enjoy Deadeye, but I'm not a Deadeye enjoyer. I find Deadeye to be exceptionally limited. Licentian, I will go ahead and I will ping this build for you in a moment. I will ping the build that I'm talking about on Virtuoso here in a moment. And I will catch up. So yeah, back to what I'm saying about Thief. Thief not in the greatest place for PvE right now, unfortunately. I think Thief needs a bit of work on a couple of the specs. But when it comes to, straight up instance content and stuff like that, yeah, I love Power Daredevil. It's very simple. It's got a, auto attack, 2 off cooldown, dodge kind of thing. Super easy. Super easy. I love it. I love it a lot. I love it a lot. All right. So we'll kill this, and then we're not actually at the bounty. This is just an event. There we have it. That's dead. Let us move ahead to our bounty. Emmanuel, for your gold guide, will you have tips on what mats to keep for later versus auction house everything? Yeah. The first episode of it is called The Gold You Already Have. And it's how to manage some of the things in your inventory. Obviously, it can't be everything, or the video would be 6 hours long. But yeah, what the first episode is about managing your crafting materials and your existing currencies and things like that, and doing it that way. And I think that that's the important when it comes to the first step, because it's not going to be how to make insane gold. It's going to be more about, how to make a realistic amount of gold, and just develop proper habits is really going to be it. And, there's nothing wrong with that. As far as I'm concerned, I realize insane gold would be better clickbait, but I think that what's more important is it's going to be an explanation more about how to use certain economic systems in order to maintain a healthy amount of gold, rather than insane gold at all times, is going to be the best way to put it. So that is it. Licentian, let me go ahead and give you this here at this point. So the Virtuoso build, the Snow Crows build, is this the Snow Crows build? No. Is this the Snow Crows build, just in the different... Okay, so this is actually the Snow Crows build here, if I'm not mistaken. So let me ping it in chat for you. It's more or less it. Hit up Snow Crows just to figure out the real thing here. Let me just put this in party chat. Appreciate the patience, squad. So there. And basically, going back to what I said earlier, is you basically want to bring your crit rate up. They've got a bunch of different ways to do that. You want your crit rate to be as close to 100% as possible. So before they were using writs, but I'm not sure if they really need to do that still. Yeah. Oh, this is a completely different build. This plays in a completely different way, Licentian. Absolutely, it does. It absolutely plays in a different way. The other build is a much more active play style. This is more of your self-sustaining kind of stand in a few red circles if you got to. It's not nearly as good with the boon spam. This is much more selfish than the other build is. So there are some pretty big differences, to be honest with you. It plays completely differently. Plays completely differently. So there we go. Yeah. Oh no, not a problem. Not a problem. Yeah, I am. It plays differently enough to me that it deserves it deserves a separate video. If it didn't, I wouldn't do the video kind of thing. Or, what it does play is it plays a lot closer to the but cheaper build that I put up. The Condi but cheap build plays a lot closer to that, where we put it in the Norgu's armor for 15 gold or 12 gold or whatever. So it plays a lot closer to that build than it does to the power build that I put up. Easily done. Easily done. Thank you, my friends. Thank you, my friends. Well, we rolled that because somebody else was doing it. You know what? Let us... Where are we going to go here for a fight? Where do we find a big fight? Let's... Running out of fights. That's a sad moment. Let's go back here, see if our problems back in Sandswept have been mitigated. I love those but cheaper series. I bet a lot of people getting benefits from those. Funny feedback on those. Funny feedback on those, Licentian. They don't get as the same number of hits. Do some boss blitz. You know what? I'm kind of saving the festival content at this point. I'm definitely kind of saving the festival content. The feedback on those, they don't get as many hits as the other one because it's hard to live in a time where you're competing with people putting up builds that do 30k with 2 button hits. And no knock against the people doing that content. Like, power to you. That's some valuable stuff. The low intensity stuff is valuable stuff. No knock against people putting out those builds, but it's hard for somebody to say, well, here's a responsible build that does an acceptable amount of damage, and I put it together because this is only 12 gold. It doesn't stand up as it's not what a lot of people are looking for. That said, they're getting better views over time than some of the other builds that I've put up are. So that means that people are finding them valuable. And that's, to me, is the best thing. And the feedback has been largely unanimously happy on those from people. Whereas when I put up the standard open world builds, I will get some grumbling. I will get a lot of, why didn't you put it in this gear set? Why didn't you do it in that one? And so the grumbling doesn't happen on the but cheaper builds. So it's good. And it's the kind of thing that I will revisit in the future. I will absolutely revisit those but cheaper things because I think that they do have value. I think that they do have a really good place for people. So there's no way I'm going to stop doing them. There's just no way. I'm really happy with. The other thing is they generate more subscriptions than other builds on the channel. As a YouTube creator, you can see how many people will subscribe to your channel just because they were on that content, and those builds actually generate a lot more subs. So there is that as well. So important to realize, not everything is about 100 million views in my books. Some of it is just about giving people good stuff to play with. And I think that that's really important. Quite of the... Well, here's the thing about low impact builds, okay? I'm gonna say this about the low impact builds. A lot of low impact builds are golem builds. And I don't want to say that as like I'm shooting down on golem builds, because I'm not shooting down on golem builds. I'm absolutely not. But a golem build is one that obviously looks nice in Arc. And 30k DPS against a golem with 2 buttons is great, but if you're doing it all in glass gear, then Is it a good open world build? Not always. So I think a lot of those LI builds are really, really good for instance content, but they're not the kind of thing I'd want to solo a champion on. And again, that's no knock on those because I think that they are valuable and I think that they do have a place, but I would hate to say that all anybody needs is power mechanist in berserker gear, using citadel runes or using golemancer runes or what have you. I think it's important to give people other options. I just think at this point, that's just my point of view on it. Kind of the point of view that I will continue to kind of put my content out by. But I gave it a lot of thought. I gave it a lot of thought when it comes to the low impact thing or the low intensity thing, because there were a lot of people asking for that kind of content on my channel specifically. Meanwhile, everybody's like, oh, low impact builds are a thing, and I'm delivering that Celestial Catalyst build, which is, objectively speaking, one of the more difficult to play builds that I've ever put up on the channel. So I'm always going to march to the beat of my own drummer on this stuff. I think that it's important to give people easy options, but I don't think that easy options are the only way to play this game. And I don't always think that they're the right way to play this game. So it's just me. Let's keep going. Quite a few of the LI builds are very high investment. Yeah, there is that as well. It's a very good point. Some people don't have that much gold, so so the value is buy before you try. It's more than that. Licentian. I think that there's some people for whom 15 gold is an objectively large amount of money on a regular basis, and I think when I was looking to put together those butt cheap builds, I think that was part of what I realized is that while I may have some pretty good ways of, getting my money together, etc., not everybody has that, and it's not always a try before thing. For some people, that 15 gold, wow, rocked by a goat. That I think that those 15 gold is, it's important to recognize that some people will always feel that that's a lot of money in this game. Just be it the way they play, etc. If I was going ahead on any given night and all I was doing was world bosses, I would absolutely feel like 15 gold was a lot of money. So I think it's important to keep these kind of things in mind, I think it is. So yeah, I think the try before you buy thing is an element of it, but I honestly think that there are some people that just could benefit from running something a little bit more solid. For people that have disability, LI builds are great for them to enjoy the game. I've been through this a couple of times. I'm not going to speak on disabilities. I'm not going to speak about the benefits of an LI build for people with disabilities. And I'm not going to do that because I think that the use... thank you, Puddles, by the way, for hanging out. Thank you for hanging out. I'm not going to speak about disabilities because I don't know what's involved. I realize that the phrase disability or the word disability means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. And more importantly, I'm not disabled. I don't have that frame of reference, and I couldn't realistically put together something and say, well, this is good for people with disabilities. I don't know what that is. And I don't want to speak about that because, like I say, disability means so many different things. I look at a guy like Bacon Boy's content. If you've never seen Bacon Boy's a guy that raids with the use of one hand. And he's got everything all set up. And he does high-end content with one hand. And it's absolutely amazing to watch. Other people say that disability for them is social anxiety that keeps them from doing instance content. And I don't think that that's I don't think that that's I don't think that's out of bounds to say that that's a disability. I mean, if that's keeping you from doing something, then by its essence, I guess you call that a disability. So, the two disabilities going on there are very different things. They are very different things. The two things going on there are, a physical thing and and a psychological thing. And I don't think that an LI build obviously meets that one of those people's, needs. And I think it goes deeper than that. Any physical disability is different than any other physical disability. So, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent about it. I think it's more to say that I don't want to talk about what would or would not be good for people who are disabled when I don't have the proper frame of reference. Like, my disability is I've got a finger that doesn't unbend and a congenital heart issue, which don't impact anything in my life. Well, we are gonna wipe to Iron Shell. I'm gonna try and get y'all up here. Okay, that's full dead. Let's try and get through. No, I'm down. So, again, without going off on too much of a tangent on it, I don't like to speak about disabilities because I just don't have the proper frame of reference for it. And I think for somebody to say this is a good build for people who have a disability, I think, one, they have to be pretty clear about what the disability is, and then they probably need to suffer from that disability before they're able to say that this is good for people with disabilities. And that's just kind of where I sit on the whole thing. I don't want to obviously go off on too much more of a tangent on it. So, yeah, I will stick with I make weird crap. I would love to be one of those people that could step in and do something for people like that, but I just don't think that I could properly and responsibly do it. Maybe not just a disability, but age as much as I mean, see, here's the thing about age. I'm gonna bring this up, and I'll put this out there, because there was a thread that went up on the forums, which I oddly enough am able to participate in once more after my latest ban has been lifted. There was a thread up on the forum talking about age, and a large number of people talked about, what is old, and I'm old according to a lot of people, and I don't, I'm not going to say, this build is good for people with arthritis. I don't have it. This is good for old people because I'm over 50. I mean, maybe, whatever, Like, I don't even want to speak to that because I think that age is just a number. It really is really just a number. And I don't want to speak to age as a limiting factor in this game. I think that, a lot of people who are watching the stream don't know that, I'm a fair bit older than a lot of other people who make content. I'm not as old as Jedrick or anything like that, but, holy smokes, we are burning this thing. But I'm older. I'm old enough to make jokes about the Mary Tyler Moore Show, right? I'm old enough to make jokes about Alice, and I don't think that that's something that limits my gameplay. I don't. I think what limits my gameplay is derping, and I think that I don't like I don't like conversations that start with like that, because I think that limiting factors in terms of your ability to play a video game, there are some very real ones, and then there are some limiting factors that I don't always feel are very real. You know, Windshark says, I'm 30 and a lot of people consider me old. And I think that that's exactly my point, Windshark, is that there are a lot of people out there who legitimately feel that 30 is fairly old. And so be it. But I don't think it limits your that number. It limits your ability to play. And I don't want to like call it out. It's just kind of how I feel about it. Caddy says she's loved to be 30 again. I would not want to be 30 again. I absolutely would not. I'm the oldest person in both of my guilds. I am, well, I'm not in a lot of guilds. We'll just leave it at that. Yeah. I don't know if I would call it ageism. I just think we need to be careful about how we limit ourselves by our own choices. The moment we say, well, I'm older, so I am blocked out of this or that. Well, then I go back to Bacon Boy. Like, Bacon Boy's got one hand and he's doing Doom CM. So I mean, I don't think it's a limiting factor to me. I don't think that, the limiting factors that we put up, that I personally put up, like, I get that a lot of people have limiting factors on how well they can play the game, but my biggest limiting factor is my patience, my patience has a lot bigger limit on what I'm doing. Yeah, Bacon absolutely pumps. Bacon is a god gamer. He absolutely is. There are a lot of older people in the game. Some can definitely wreck me in World versus World, and I'm gonna put this out here to you guys. Like, Caddy isn't that much younger than I am, and Caddy is sitting here hard carrying the damage on these bounty squads, and Caddy is objectively the best World versus World player I know. And Caddy is a skill clicker and still the best World versus World player I know. Nobody plays Zerg support as well as Caddy Wampus does in this game, bar none, period. I'm not qualifying that by server or role. I don't think that there's anybody who plays better support in World versus World in this game than Caddy Wampus. And she's not that much younger than I am. And she is a skill clicker, and I just, I'll put that out there. And I'll put that out there anytime I see anybody limiting themselves, either by skill clicking or by age or by any of that. Caddy and I two-person fractals, like, that's what we do in our spare time. Like, we pick really hard content and we just two-man it. That's what we do. And that's got a lot more to do with our ability to play this game than, how old we are. And I think another good example is Jedrick. And I don't know if any of you guys follow Jedrick over on Twitch, but Jedrick is a somewhat older gentleman. And Jedrick, you can watch him sit there and pug fractals all night long. Caddy says, thank you, mine. That was some really nice things you said. Well, that is absolutely true. There is no one I would rather play this game with. And not just because you're good at it, just because you're good people. But yeah, going back, I'll look at Jedrick. Jedrick jumps in on all the raids and stuff like that, and he's an older gentleman and probably smokes more weed than I do. And really, kind of, can we hire Caddy for lessons? I'm gonna shoot straight with you. Caddy actually does teach support in World versus World for her guild. And one of the reasons, if you've never seen the video up, we have a World versus World support scrapper build where Caddy and I basically go over how to play it, and it's mostly Caddy giving examples on how to play it. And one of the reasons we did that was to hopefully, lessen the number of questions and lessons she had to give on it, because she ends up teaching that a lot. She's very, very good at it. I've seen some people play certain specs in this game well, but yeah, there we have it. Most LI builds don't make the changes Bacon Boy does to his computer to play the game. There is that, yeah. I mean, he has an absolute setup, but again, we're talking at that point about limiting yourself. Like Bacon Boy is a good example, and never talked to the guy personally. Left a comment on one of his videos once. It's my only real exposure to him is just him as a content creator. But I think we get back to limiting is he never saw his physical disability as a limit, a hard cap on his ability to get things done. And I think that is really what I'm talking about, to be honest with you. There are a lot of older people that enjoy games. Just look at Scott. Oh, what is her name? Holy smoke, she's done some World versus World, not World versus World, Guild Wars 2 content as well. She's an older lady, and wow, her name escapes me right now. She does content. She's done a lot of Skyrim and might even be Elder Lady Gamer. I'm forgetting her name on that one. She does a lot of content in this game, or sorry, a lot of content on YouTube, and it's just basically her doing Let's Plays and stuff like that. And she does an absolutely phenomenal job, and she's actually done some Guild Wars content as well. We are out of bounties on this one. Gail says, I have conversed with Bacon Boy. He's a sweetheart. You're lucky. He seems really awesome. Folks like that are inspiring. Makes me want to stop complaining about things. Licentian, I am going to tell you a story about that. And I'm going to share one of my favorite stories about gaming and, being old and stuff like that. I still play City of Heroes every once in a while. I've been honest about that. One of the reasons why I still play City of Heroes is that there is a small group playing that game there that goes back, like 15, 16 years from when I used to play the game regularly. And one of those guys is a guy named Mike. And I don't want to go off too much about Mike, but Mike has multiple sclerosis. And Mike is easily one of my favorite people in this world. And I may have never met Mike, but Mike is just a superb guy. That says he's suffering from a degenerative condition that makes going outside very hard. And playing video games at times gives him vertigo and stuff like that. But there was a point a long time ago where I was sitting there playing City of Heroes, and I was doing gamer bitching about gated content and stuff like that. And I was really upset about whatever it was in the game that cheesed me off. And Mike reminded me at that point that sometimes the answer is just to play better. And he reminded me about that because he plays so freaking hard. And I think that was an eye-opening moment for me, because I sat there and I started bitching about it, and he reminded me that, he had been out of the house like once in the past month, and it just didn't matter to him. It wasn't a big deal. It was more about the way that you were approaching these things, and not about the actual obstacles that were placed in front of you. And it was that mentality, I think, that impacted me more than just about anybody else I've ever dealt with. Adara Sam says, what class is more condition focused? As a class, you're probably going to be looking at Necro. Though just about every class has a really good Condi build these days. I'm hard-pressed to think about a class without a good Condi build. I think that for a class that is specifically almost always using Condi builds, I think Necromancer is probably your best bet. Power builds on Necro are a funny thing. I get that they're somewhat useful at some things. I get that they're a little better in competitive, maybe. But I think that in terms of overall Condi, yeah, if I was only going to play one class for Condi, I would probably pick Necro and probably pick Scourge. I think that it's just ludicrous. Overpowered, pretty fun. You can really build a kick-ass level of sustain out of it. But that would be the first place I would go if I wanted a Condi playstyle. Other good Condi specs, Condi Ranger is another one that I really, really enjoy. I really enjoy Condi. I enjoy Condi almost anything. I think most of the things I actually play are Condi. I'm hard to think of a warrior. I've not enjoyed the Condi very much, but I get that the Condi on warrior is good in instance content, so you can play like a Viper's Berserker and get some really good numbers. Condi Reaper, no. Condi Reaper, I mean, I'm willing to have somebody prove me wrong, but I would not play Condi Reaper. I would absolutely play Reaper in Power these days. Condi Reaper was a thing a while ago. I'm hard pressed to think about what Reaper brings that is good for Condi. I don't think there's a lot there. Just get good, Mike. Actually, Mike's comment wasn't just get good. It was, hey, have you tried playing better? And it's a line I've used since then. It is a line I've happily used since then. Have you tried playing better? Reaper, yeah, Power Reaper. Power Reaper is absolutely a thing, but I wouldn't play Condi Reaper these days. If I was going to play Condi, I would play Condi Harbinger is still really strong. I think Condi Scourge is probably still the king of open world damage. I'm really hard pressed to think of a build that does more damage than Condi Scourge, to be honest with you. And in fact, I'd probably play Condi Scourge in instance content as well. When I raid, I will Scourge. I think Condi Scourge is